this is the last panel. We are going to conclude in this session the last 3 days that we have discussed, we have talked, we have shared different points. I'm sure every one of you is tired. We're trying to make it short so that we can conclude and we can make what are the outcomes of this conference that we have had in the last 3 days. In this panel we have Sayyid Zaman Hashimi, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Naqib Fayaz, lecturer at university, and Fawzia Kufi, a member of negotiating team of Afghanistan in Doha. Let's start with Fawzia Kufi, who is present with us and is watching. Ms. Kufi, salam to you. Salam to you all and everyone who has been watching us online. The main question for today's conference is, the question is, what is the end? Do we reach to peace or not? I would like to hear from you. Since you are in Doha and you have been following Doha talks and you are still there in Doha, what is your answer to this question? I would like to share my gratitude to you and your colleagues in the panels and also everyone in the conference hall. I'm sorry that I'm not present there, but I have been following this conference through media channels, and it is sad that actually that I have been in the last day of the conference. It would have been quite grateful and helpful if I would have been in the first day of the conference. The question that you have raised is that I would like to answer that and shed light on that, since it's a very important question and it is a future that everyone is looking forward to. I would like to answer from the perspective of peace. There are two scenarios that we can predict. One is positive, that we still think that we are going toward, as long as there is not any incident that may take place that we would have been taken out of this procedure and peace process, and that all depends on the complexity and complications of peace process, and that is because this peace process is quite complicated and complex. That's why it is not going that fast as expected by Afghans. And we are just trying so that the end of this peace process and peace talks and peace negotiation is that both sides agree, whether the Afghan government and that is representing Afghan people and also Taliban, so that they agree together to agree on general principles and rules and regulations for Afghanistan. And I think it has already been pinpointed and discussed in your conference in Herat, that the main question would be what kind of government are we expecting in the future? What kind of government do we want in the future in Afghanistan? What kind of system we would have with regard to the rights of people and all of the jazz, particularly as they are trying, the government of Afghanistan and the representative of government of Afghanistan is trying to get into a mutual agreement and have a general consensus, so that we get to a mutual point and agree on so many points so that we can have a better government in the future. That is something, a positive point that we are looking forward to. And it requires a lot of dialogues and a lot of discussions that we have been going through. Since there are armed groups in Afghanistan, that there are still groups like Daesh, ISIS, There have been presidents of Afghanistan who want to gain power in Afghanistan through armed conflict. That's another discussion. But for the time being, uh, uh, that what would be the future, what would be the end of the peace process, what I understand is that if we go like this, we are going to a positive direction. However, on the other side, if a negative scenario is going to be discussed, or and if this peace process is not going to go in line with the national interest of Afghanistan as well as the interest of people of Afghanistan, then particularly considering the complexity and complications of United States of America and the world scenarios and geopolitics of Afghanistan, and then it's a negative scenario that may cause disruption, and they may cause a lot of problems in Afghanistan. We really hope that we don't go toward negative scenario, rather positive scenario. We are trying to negotiate with Taliban groups, and I have to say that it is quite complicated. It's not simple negotiations, simple talks. Before coming to Doha, I was not expecting that many complications, but there are so many complexities and complications that need to be taken into account, and we need to wait for it. For example, there are even terms and terminology that are discussed for a long time. And I think every country that is in crisis goes through this. And also the present complex situation in Afghanistan has to be taken into account, and also the mistrust that we have, or the distrust that we have between the two sides. This is another important point that we need to understand. If there is another question, please. If you give us a little time, we would get back to you. We'll get back to you. Thank you. Let's start with Zaman Hashimi, Chief Executive of Chamber of Commerce Investment. You heard Fawzi Kufi talked about peace talks. As far as I understood, I didn't hear quite positive answer to my question. What is your opinion about this? In the name of Allah, the most merciful, most compassionate. Thank you. I think we are talking about future. Yeah, it's unclear. The answer that we have got from Fawzi Kufi is that it is not clear, meaning that the peace negotiating team of Afghanistan is still going through a lot of discussion, negotiation with the Taliban. However, let's talk about the most important matters, particularly with regard to economy as well as investment and trade in Afghanistan. First, I would like to shed light on general views that were shared by different panelists. Particularly, I'll talk about the general resources that we have, natural resources, for example, water, for example, minerals, for example, energy, and also solar energy, and also human resources that we have in Afghanistan that can play a great role in ensuring peace in Afghanistan. However, how are we using this? There are so many opportunities that are being created by this, but how are we using it? Respected ambassadors and that's also said about this that we have a great geopolitics. We have a great location that can be turned into a bridge for many areas like Central Asia and South Asia. As estimated that Afghanistan has minerals of worth $1 trillion, and we expect it to be $3 trillion. And they also said that Afghanistan can be a Saudi Arabia when it comes to lithium. As far as lithium is concerned, it can be very rich because it has a lot of lithium. We have minerals. It is a God-given wealth. Yeah. Yeah, the credit of this does not go to anyone because it is natural. It has been given by God to us. So this is the responsibility of governments. So in order to make this quite useful and beneficial, they have to change these natural resources to be quite beneficial and use it effectively. Unfortunately, so far we haven't done that. We haven't used it. However, as far as the role of the government is concerned, in the past years, in the last 7 to 8 years, Ministry of Minerals. What was the role of Ministry of Minerals? Yeah. As far as investment, attracting investment is concerned, I think we didn't have any achievements at all. We were unable to attract investment in minerals for minerals of Afghanistan, which could be used for the benefit of Afghanistan, and also it is said that in the next 2 to 3 years we can even export energy, uh, but we do not have any proper planning for that. So as if we claim that we can export energy in the next 2 to 3 years, what are the plans and programs that we have prepared? Based on what framework, based on what approach we are going to have that much energy that can be exported to other countries. This is a general fact that we still have failed to make Afghanistan as a bridge between Central Asia and South Asia and other countries. I will also focus more on minerals, and the reason is because I am kind of my expertise and professional area is minerals. When I say Turkmenistan, they have a lot of gas, and which is expected that it can give gas to South Asia and Central Asia for 700 years. But when it comes to Turkmenistan, we have only we have only 10 kilometers away from their main sources of gas, but so far we have not even made any project to extract gas. We have had two agreements and two contracts, international contracts, but so far we haven't been successful to convince investors in order to convince to invest in this area and extract gas. Uh, these resources can be used for peace process, for other benefits of Afghanistan, and also as far as human resources is concerned. Yes, it's a great potential and a great capacity that we have. For example, in some countries, aging has created a lot of problems. For example, in Japan and some other countries. But when it comes to Afghanistan, we have a great potential of human resources, but we are not using them. We are not using them because there is no investment, there is no employment opportunities, then we cannot utilize them. One of the most important issues is that using these potentials. What is the benefit of using these potentials? That we can expand our trade. When it comes to a trade, we can expand our exports. We can have international contracts. We can. We also had recently talked with colleagues in Pakistan, partners in Pakistan. We signed we signed two MOUs with Pakistan, which is all about trade. However, In the last 20 years, one of the main issues that we see from Pakistan is the closure of border. These are the main challenges that Afghanistan, the Afghan government is facing, and Afghan government is responsible to make a proper other ways. These can be used for economic growth and economic development of Afghanistan, which can play a great role in peace. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your views. It's a fact that peace without economic, strong economy is not possible, and I there was a joke that the students were sitting in the class and one was sleeping. The teacher was called him that wake up, let's go. Considering and linking it with the present fact that the present situation of the conference, we are at the end of conference. We need to summarize our words and talks. As far as peace is concerned in Afghanistan, how is it possible? That's the main question which has been asked time and again. That has always been the main question of Afghan Afghan Institute for Strategic Studies. It has always been asked, how is it possible? How peace is possible? Where we are heading? What is our direction? Whether we will achieve peace or not? Whether we will be able to achieve peace or not, whether we will ensure peace for next generations or not. These are the questions that have been asked time and again by different people, and I am sure, yes, I believe answer to this question is not easy as well. uh, uh, what is your opinion about this? If you please share your view. Thank you. I would like to wish my gratitude to everyone, distinguished guests. Thank you for coming here. I would like to thank the leadership of this institute as well for conducting such a helpful and fruitful conference. What I would like to conclude is that in the last 2 days that I have understood is, but unfortunately, it is all about objections, all about having no hope. That is why I would like to change my response and words on this particular. In short, I would say that that if you look at all this situation, this desperate situation that we are looking for peace, it's a situation that there is no hope for a better Afghanistan, for prosperous Afghanistan. It creates an image in our minds which is quite destructive, that can actually spoil a lot of things for us. When we look at politicians and academicians, uh, they also are speaking all about this. A situation has been created which is not positive enough. It's all about complaints and objections that we are having. For, well, apologies for the inconvenience. I think there was internet connection problem. I just got connected, but I can't hear him clearly. Just trying to hear what he said so that I can interpret accordingly. I think the discussion is getting interesting. Let's look at what our duty is, what our responsibility is, and then we have to look at whether the person who is assigned for any particular job, whether he has ability or not, whether he has the skills and knowledge of doing the job. Unfortunately, all the process that we have had in Afghanistan, including the peace process, particularly peace process, we do not look at the skills, so we do not look at the ability of someone. So many of these representatives who have been to Doha and discuss this process, which is a very important process. They do not even know what we do. They do not know the process, this process. Some of the scholars are representative of us, or representatives of some scholars or representatives of government, representatives or some scholars are representatives of some political parties, but they do not that what is our responsibility and whether we have skill to do that. That is why we need to know the rationality of this question has to be understood. That what is our duty, what is our responsibility, whether we are made for this particular job or not. If we say that yes, we are the ones, then whether there is any monitoring body that can monitor us, that whether we are doing proper job or not as per the established rules and principles or not. Let's ask ourselves whether do we have any consensus or not. Do we have international consensus or regional consensus or not? We need to understand this question. We need to ask ourselves that this whether we have done enough job for this particular job or not. This is the real question that we need to ask ourselves. Then we have to go toward national trust, that whether we have people who are standing by this cause or not. If the government wants support from public, then they have to ensure that people stand by them. They have to convince people, because they cannot do any job without convincing people. That is why I say, if whether considering this question, whether considering and ensuring strategic vision, without considering strategic vision, we cannot say that this piece is going to be successful. The government wouldn't be able to do this. Let's make it comprehensive. Let's include everyone in this process. Presently, the team that has been assigned, the team that has been assigned is not capable of doing it. Let's earn this trust from people, so that the negotiating team, the words that they say is quite heavy. That is why what we heard from Fauzi Kufi, Meskan Fauzi Kufi, we are not quite optimistic about this procedure. When you talk about international relations, everyone is after their own interests. This is their principles. We cannot make Afghanistan away from other countries, so that Afghanistan does not interfere in other affairs, or other countries do not interfere in Afghanistan. We are a globalized world. We are living in a globalized world. That's why every country is interfering in other countries as far as their international interests are concerned. The last point I would like to say is, as far as Afghanistan is concerned, since the time of British Shah Amanullah, how did he succeed in making Afghanistan a prosperous Afghanistan, as well as how did he make a balance between British and other superpowers of the time? How was he able? He was successful in doing that. In another place, I also discussed this. the team that has been assigned for peace negotiations, these people are actually unable to understand why we need peace, what for do we need peace, what are the main causes behind this conflict. They are missing the main point. They do not have strategic visions. What I'm emphasizing on is a strategic vision that they have to have so that they ensure. And that is why Taliban's have always used us, have always exploited us, have always used every opportunity to attack us. That is why we go after balance of power. Balance of power. In balance of power, what happens? Every country tries to ensure their national interest. Afghanistan has to make itself in this framework that is of present and globalized world. This is a discussion that need to be talked about. We do not have any procedure to follow for achieving this peace. In Doha, as it says in the Quran, a verse of Quran was recited by him that is of ensuring justice. We need to have a proper procedure in order to reach to objectives. Unless and until we do not have a procedures to follow, we are going to miss that. If we need to ensure justice in order to reach to peace. I'm enlisting it one by one. So far the procedure and the policy of Afghanistan has always been defensive. Unless and until we change things, we are not going to be able to change the whole procedure. That's why we need to be aggressive. That is what justice is. If they are going to attack, we need to attack. We need not only to be defensive. That is all. Yeah, it's getting late. It's getting late. I'm taking too much time. That's why I'm going to conclude. We need to go from defensive stance to aggressive stance. And the last discussion that was also again stated here, we need to ensure justice in every sector. If we ensure justice in every sector, if we ensure justice to everyone, if we give rights of everyone, and also distribution, justice in distribution. What does that mean is that if we distribute our resources justly and fairly, equally, that is going to make things quite easy for us in order to reach the prosperous Afghanistan, including having peace. And that is why we need to be ready. I won't go into details. Thank you so much. These were quite important points, quite academic points. Although the points he explained, it shows that he is still hopeful that things can change. In some places, it was the repeated words that we heard time and again. I would like to thank all the panelists, every speaker, including Fawzia Kufi, Said Zaman Hashimi, Dr. Natif Fayaz. We are going to only give 15 minutes to question and session. If there is any question, please ask your question so that we can answer within this time. Your question is toward whom? Ustad Fayaz. Yeah, it is directed toward Ustad Fayaz. As you said, soul does not come with peace. Soul comes with aggression. As as 4,000 prisoners were released, uh, I think what Afghanistan government made a mistake was that they did not actually realize who these prisoners were, what their background, who are going to be joining Taliban. Now they consider themselves complete. They actually do not care about so many things that you request from. For example, even ceasefire did not request from. What is your opinion about this? I think this question should have been asked towards security forces, that they should have been answered earlier. But I would like to say, I just said that we need to have a strategy. Uh, well, thank you. You please. My question is toward Fayaz. What America looks at Afghanistan, they have never been ready to ensure that in the interests of other countries. That's why there has always been conflict. The National Security Advisor of United States of America has also said that America has went to a greater extent. मुझे بسیار پاس است. سوال میکنم. می‌گم سوال می‌کنی. Well, apologies for the inconvenience. I think there was a network problem again. Questions were asked earlier and answers were asked later on, given later on. I believe that if United States truly wants to ensure peace and bring peace to Afghanistan, this is possible. United States of America can push countries and stakeholders that play role in Afghanistan and make them be willing to bring peace into Afghanistan. However, we need to understand that United States of America has its own national interest here. We need to ensure that if we want cooperation, coordination from United States of America. And if we have cooperation with the United States, that's what will lead us to our desired goal, desired objective. And also, what the government of Afghanistan has to do is that to not only keep its good relations with the United States of America, but all other actors in the region as well as on international level. And again, I will emphasize on the point that I explained earlier, that we need to have a proper procedure for all the steps to follow so that we can reach there. Thank you. Please, you go ahead because you raised your hand earlier. My question is towards Zaman Hashmi. As you see that we have a lot of natural resources, and what you also said is that if we change it and utilize it properly and effectively, then we can bring change. And another thing that we need to understand is that one of the main reasons for having no peace in Afghanistan is it is economic war. Economic war. If how can we? How can we avoid economic war again on Afghanistan if this peace is going to be ensured, or if even if this economic or resources that can help us in our economy, if we utilize this properly, how can this avoid economic war? This is a very good question. I think yes, this is true. Afghanistan has a lot of natural resources. There are so many models. There are so many models in the world that have been used to utilize these natural resources. I also mentioned this in the United Nations as well. Unfortunately, in Afghanistan, war has been used for so many purposes, for trade, for economy. For example, this has been used for trafficking drugs, for trafficking humans. Whereas we have so many resources that if we invest on and if we attract international investors, we can create employment opportunities for Afghans. We can grow our economic growth, which will definitely have positive impacts on our economic growth, and that can play a big role in ensuring peace. The other point that I would like to say is that we need to have proper planning and programs in order to extract these minerals, in order to utilize it, so that they are not exploited, so that they are not taken over by other countries and other powers. Thank you. My question to Rashmi: when we talk about economy and war, my question is basically that if economy and peace are interlinked, then that's the main problem. In so many districts of Afghanistan, when they build any road, they say that there is no security. They don't do it, and if that road is going to be constructed, then definitely that will bring positive changes in economy. These are interlinked. My question is why Miss Ainak mineral was cancelled. These problems are the minerals. There are so many projects that were initiated but they have failed. Why we can't manage it? Why do you think? Whether why don't we involve public sector? Why? What do you think the public sector and our national businessmen can do in this regard? We cannot wait anymore. I think it has been a long time. It has been a long time. There has been so many opportunities that we have had, but we have not utilized it properly. Uh, until when we should wait? Please answer this. Yes, we have had great opportunity for expanding minerals, for extracting minerals. As far as methanic mineral is concerned, and that can be possible only when we have surety from Pakistan, because they are creating obstacles. Unfortunately, we did not use those opportunities when there was no war, we did not use it. So that we can extract minerals and can use it for the better and for the growth of economy. Because one of the reasons that so many terrorists are involved in these attacks is they have been using these minerals, they traffic it to neighboring countries. Uh, uh, they have been trafficking to neighboring countries, which yes, this is the responsibility of the government to stop it. I would like to come back to the main objective that we had. We need to identify what direction we are heading toward. We need to identify our minerals. After our minerals, we need to understand how we can use these minerals, how to extract these minerals. First, we need to draft out all those questions related to that so that we can know our procedure on what ways that we have to and what steps we have to follow to reach there. We need to identify who are the actors that have been involved in trafficking our minerals. And the government has to ensure that we need to have the power to play. As long as we don't have the power, we are going to have problems. We have very good map, we have very good location. The geostrategic location that we have is great, but have we really utilized all the opportunities and facilities that we have had? And no. We need to have proper mechanisms. That is what I have been emphasizing on. I'm sure there have been no more question. There are more questions and participants would like to ask, but I have watched. Uh, let's call it a day. I think it has been a long day. Okay, only one question from there. Okay, I'll ask you as well. I'll take two questions. Please go ahead. Thank you. I have one question toward Dr. Fayaz. Uh, when we talk about religious scriptures, these are the most effective sources for Taliban to fight for. On the other hand, we have government. And unfortunately, as far as the government is concerned, they have failed to even control their own messages in the Kabul city. For example, so many messages are in Kabul city, and you will see that even these messages are being used to propagate against the government. They do not have control over even these religious sites. These scriptures are being used by them somehow against the very people of Afghanistan government. How can this be possibly eliminated and resolve this issue? Yeah, while doing a bachelor, I was a student of Dr. Fayyaz. I am really proud that he was our teacher. My question is, as you said, that Afghanistan has to get out of defensive stance to toward offensive stance. Since international community has actually officially recognized Taliban now as a force, as a group, and actually they have legitimized Taliban. How will that work actually? They have legitimized it. How is this difference going to be resolved? What is international community going to be done? What international community is going to do with Taliban? What is the future? They can predict it as they have legitimized it. They have given them the right. And also towards Raya Sobrang, I would like to say that we expected today that you could speak more about us. You could you could talk about more opportunities being provided to us. You could, which I think a lot of things have not been mentioned by you. You could actually really represent us today and talk about what we could do, what opportunities could be provided to us, how we can participate in these such processes, uh, and also international community. What could be the role of international community in ensuring peace and bringing peace to Afghanistan? Uh, what is I just wanted to say about this, about your remarks. Yeah. Please answer, Dr. Fayyaz. Please answer. Then I'll. Okay. Yes, Taliban have been legitimized. Taliban has been recognized. Yes, their ideology. They have their own ideology, their own understanding from the religious scriptures. What we need to understand is what are the main orders of our religion. What we need to understand religion in its true sense. Now the situation is that both Taliban also using the same scriptures for in order to justify themselves, and the government is also using the same scriptures for the same reasons in order to justify what they are fighting for. There has to be a clear understanding from these religious scriptures. We need to have clear principles based on the same constitution that we have. What are the problems we need to engage Taliban, that any area that is going to be highlighted by them, that they have problem with the religious scriptures, there should be discussions on that. That is why I say that as long as these problems are not resolved and this situation is going to be on, then the government of Afghanistan need to go from defensive stance to offensive stance, because they have their own justification. They have Taliban have their own justification. The government of Afghanistan has their own justification. That is why we need to be clear in what stance we are opting for. Our government officials should come together and do their duty and responsibility appropriately and effectively. We need to engage those stakeholders who are causing this war in Afghanistan. These are the stakeholders, these are the actors who have caused war in Afghanistan. Yeah, and do you want anything, Subrang? Miss Subrang? Thank you. We have a discussion in, since this example was earlier mentioned, that any doctor who wants to treat his patient, he has to find out what the disease is. After he finds out what the disease is, then he treats and cures him and suggests and provide medicines. That is why I am saying the disease here is injustice. We need to identify what the main problem behind all these problems are. And that is injustice, lack of insecurity. That is what I have concluded, that in order to reach to a sustainable peace, we need to find out reasons and factors of conflict. Once we find out, we need to eliminate that. We need to cut that off. Once we cut that off, then we can ensure peace and sustainable peace. Then we can talk about peace, like you said about women. When we talk about peace, then women can be part of so many discussions. They can be part of so many processes. We can actually get benefits from them in economic development, social development, cultural development. They play a gigantic role in our societies, as Dr. Saib also mentioned and explained this. That is what I say, that we cannot reach to a sustainable peace as long as we do not recognize the root causes, the reasons and factors of war and conflict in Afghanistan. We have to eliminate that, then we can reach to a sustainable peace. Other than that, if we bring peace, that will be temporary peace. And also another thing that was mentioned is that as long as we do not weaken our enemy, we cannot just ensure peace here with just begging them to give us peace. We need to identify our red lines. We cannot just bypass women's rights or any other rights like children's rights, human rights. We need to identify what are our red lines, and then based on red lines, we do not have to make any deal with anybody, no matter whether Taliban or there are any other groups. That is what things will make effective. After that, we can go toward negotiations. Other than that, I think it's going to be not that fruitful as we are expecting. We see it in the last few months. We have been following the peace negotiation talks, and we are not hopeful to that. It kills our hope, because there is no productive results. There are no fruitful results. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Said Zaman Hashimi, Chief Executive of Chamber of Commerce and Investment, Dr. Naqi Fayaz, Lecturer at University, Soraya Sobrang, Commissioner of the Human Rights Commission, and Khanum Fawzia Kufi, a member of the negotiating in Doha, who participated in the last session. I'm not going to conclude because we have bypassed our time. We are going to call it a day, and everyone can conclude in their own ways. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here and attending this conference. Dear viewers, you have been following our conference in Herat. It is the end of our Herat Security Dialogue, and still there are negotiations going on. Now, Dr. Dawood Muradiar has come so that he present his last speech. Please, I would like to invite you all to listen to his remarks. We heard about regarding Heratis. As the saying goes that yeah, we have been your host. Thank you so much for hosting us. Thank you for being with us. It was a pleasure hosting you all. Herat is part of Afghanistan. That is why we do not go on saying that we were your host, but this is your own land, this is your own place. You are all welcome. You're all welcome for coming from Herat, from Mazar, from Kandahar, from Kabul. I really hope that you all had a great day. Although we said a lot, we heard a lot, but I hope it was fruitful. I was not going to give a speech, but what I have heard, I got 3 points out of this whole discussions. I would like to say, as they said, why did they release 5,500 prisoners? Some of our colleagues said that if they were being hanged, maybe the problems would have been resolved. I would like to say that last year as the saying goes, that even see that any place that is going to be green, any place, any part of the world that is going to be green, people can benefit from. Not only humans, but rather other creatures of God Almighty can benefit from. That is why I say that anywhere of Afghanistan which is going to be green is going to be beneficial for all of us. And that is why we need to ensure that we let this land be green. We need to leave this land prosperous and make this land prosperous so that everyone can benefit from. Uh, uh, in the city of Herat, uh, uh, as the governor, respected governor, also yesterday talked, and also some other colleagues and guests that they talked. Uh, he was a poet. He was a great. He had some great speech. It was about Lama Jami. As it was said that it is prohibited to listen to music. Uh, as they said that music is also reaching us and getting us toward God. So everyone's approach and everyone's perception differs. Everyone understands it differently. Some say that music is haram and prohibited. Some say that music takes us to God. It reaches us to God. Uh, that is why the perception of everyone's differs, which we need to understand. Last point about Khurasan, which can actually summarize up this whole speech. Uh, there is a bird which is in different parts of the world, in China, in other countries. We have two kind of birds in Khorasan. One is Ferdowsi. Ferdowsi bird, that was something that was protecting others from danger, and the other was which, as the speeches that we had, the discussions that we had, the negotiation, the points that have been mentioned here yesterday and today, we are only expecting that we are expecting a bird to come and get out of this chaos, save us and protect us from this chaos. We only expect and we only hope for a better future. That is why we are saying that we need and we are waiting for us that bird that can actually protect us. We are really wish and we really pray. We really try for that and look forward. For the time being, it was we were looking and we were quite optimistic about Khalilzad. We were considering that bird could be Khalilzad, who is a special representative of the United States of America. But I think that doesn't seem so. We really hope and we look forward to any other bird who comes and save us. That is why every one of us need to be keen and need to be look at different sides so that we can have that bird who will come and save us from this chaos and this destruction that we have been going through, the sufferings that we have been going through. And as the saying goes, that step by step, together with unity, we can bring change. I really hope that we can bring change and we can have unity. Special gratitudes to every one of you for being here. Hopefully, we will start our dialogues and meetings on provincial level as well. And in Nangarhar, Mazar Sharif, and other provinces in Kandahar. We really look forward to that. We really hope we find fruitful outcomes out of that. After meetings in different provinces, we have had meetings, virtual meetings with international partners as well. We're going to continue that so that we engage our international partners through virtual meetings, and we'll try to make it quite effective so that we reach and achieve our goal and objective. I would really like to thank our security forces, everyone who has contributed to this wonderful conference in Herat. I would really like to wholeheartedly thank them for making and putting their efforts to make this possible. Uh, we have always tried to make things better. I would really like to thank our distinguished guest for coming here, for spending time here. On behalf of this institute, I would like to thank every one of you, every distinguished guest. Thank you so much. Similarly, I would like to thank our financial donors, our international partners, international guests who has been here. Who have always tried to stand by us and supported us in their ways possible. And also, I would like to thank the United States of America and the government of the United States of America for helping us in conducting this conference in Herat. I would like to also thank our colleagues in Herat who have made a lot of efforts to make this conference possible. I know it is hard, it requires a lot of efforts, but they have made it possible. So thank you so much for that. And I hope we hope that next year Afghanistan is in a much better situation. We have peace. We have better plannings for conducting this conference. Thank you so much.